So you guys know Amazon takes a few $1,000 at least to get started. And a question I get all the time is, what are ways to build up that initial capital? And a lot of you know my story was I started out selling on eBay. And so I wanted to talk to somebody who sells on eBay and kind of introduce you guys into a business model that you can start with basically $0 and use this to build up that initial capital to roll it into business models that are more scalable. So I didn't have to look very far to find Jessica, who is my wife and lives here.
I was just sleeping. No big deal.
So yeah, I mean, it kind of worked out pretty conveniently, So in this video, we're gonna kind of talk about how to get started with eBay and build up capital. And we'll get into this, but she doesn't even think of this as a long-term, like the end-all be-all, but it's a great way to build up. So I definitely think it will interest those of you that need to get that initial capital. Oh, and also she has a YouTube channel about, a lot of the videos are about selling on eBay, so definitely check that out. I will link it all around this video and everything like that, so be sure to check that out after this one. But yeah, what is your kind of story of eBay, just to bring people up to speed on your experience?
Well, you started selling on eBay. He was trying to convince me to sell on eBay for how many years?
Like 8 years.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to do that.
Never
whatever. Did it. Well, because I saw how hard you were working with eBay and you had
true.
to go do a whole bunch of things. So that was not the life I wanted. But I met a friend.
Keep going.
I met a friend. She DM'd me a long time ago, and I met up with her, and she sells full time. Her name is Mary. One of my videos went viral. It's about her life as a full-time eBay seller. If you guys want to check that out, it's on my channel. But she's the one who kind of was like, no, girl, you should do it. Like, it's so easy, and you know about clothes and brands. Like, you should just start off with clothing brands. That's what I do. She's a apparel thrifter. So I was like, all right. So I went to Salvation Army, and I was like, oh my God, I know these brands, Like, I know jeans, I know shirts that sell really well or that are more expensive. So I would spend $10. I think I spent $10 on the first time I went thrifting, and I think I made like $70 selling that stuff on eBay. And
crazy.
So it's pretty cheap to start. You don't need very much money, and Mary and I recommend that we could start even at home. Like, you don't have to go very far, like how you found me. It wasn't very far. You can go through your closet and declutter everything. If you have random light bulbs, that stuff will sell. Like, everything sells. Plants sell, salt lamps sell, cats sell, oh, speaking of cats, hello, this is Dandy. She just popped out of nowhere.
Literally, when you said cats, she popped up.
Yeah. But anyway.
For sale on eBay.
No, she's not for sale.
Auction right here.
No.
She's just hanging.
Or best offer, please. But yeah, so I honestly didn't need that much investment to start with at all. Like, she did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Vee talks about that a lot too, of, going to garage sales, going to free stuff on marketplaces, Craigslist. You can definitely get that first even $50 if you don't have that, just by selling stuff that you have. I guarantee you have even more than that of stuff in your house. And yeah, that was honestly like the exact story of 10 years of me saying you should sell, and then Mary got you immediately. So shout out to Feel Good Finds for finally planting the entrepreneurial seed in Jessica after many attempts.
But even after starting eBay, I'm only doing it part-time. I don't see myself doing it full-time. I just think it's a good way to start and getting that feeling of making money.
Right.
You realize that making money does feel good, and you want to do more of it. So then you just try to find other ways to make more money and stuff. So eBay honestly opened that up for me.
Yeah, this is something I've talked about for years, is like making that first dollar outside of a job is like the biggest proof of concept you could ever have. So I think there's massive value in literally just selling any item even once, even if it's not the most scalable thing, because something we just talked about in a video we did on her channel. So definitely check that out after this. But how Amazon is much more scalable than eBay, but eBay requires this hands-on type of work, but it also requires very little investment and very little risk, whereas Amazon takes all of this risk and it takes a lot of risk up front for a lot of potential upside. So that's kind of how they compare. But something I want to get into is, you were saying like how you first gravitated to selling clothes because you were seeing brands that you were familiar with, and I think that's a really smart place for people to start.
Just do the things that you know a lot about. Like, me and Mary got a DM the other day that was a lady that is a barber, and she sells like barber stuff, and
There you
I know
go.
nothing about that. I'm not gonna go to Salvation Army and pick that up because I'd be like, I don't even know what this is. But she knows what are good brands, what are not good brands, or what are just like knockoffs and stuff. So like she found her niche, or niche, however you want to say it. And so I'd say like if you're really good at doing something or knowing something, like I know a lot about clothing, then I would just try that out.
Yeah, 100% agree. You know, if you are a hobby photographer, then you probably can spot lenses that are underpriced and see like, oh, I know what that is, and most people don't. For me, this was vintage watches. This was iPhones I wasn't particularly passionate about, but I figured out that they were worth more than people knew they were worth when they were expiring or when they upgraded or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, this could really be anything. I remember when I first got into reselling, like Xboxes were really popular, and people would buy the ones with like the red ring of death and like figure out a way to fix it or just to resell it. And even if they were broken, they were still worth something on eBay and people wouldn't know, and they would sell it really cheap. So there's always an arbitrage where there's something that you know about, like a hobby or just something you know about that I guarantee most people don't. And you can kind of use that expertise to find things that are undervalued that you can flip for more.
And with that, like one thing with the Xbox, I would not want to sell Xboxes myself, even though I like used to play an Xbox. It's like you have to think about the shipping too, like that costs a lot of money, and then like trying to go find these Xboxes, like they're not going to just come to your front door, and Alibaba's not going to have an Xbox for you. You have to go like out and venture, and I think that's like one disadvantage of like selling on eBay, just very time consuming. You have to go get the stuff and then list it, measure it, take photos, and then once it's shipped, you have to like ship it, find the shipping materials, go drop it off at the post office, and then repeat. So it all like kind of just takes a long time. So but you know, one thing that I always told about it is beginner friendly. I would say Amazon's not very beginner friendly. You have to learn more about like how to start selling on Amazon than you would with eBay.
Yeah, it's more upfront work, it's more upfront risk, but again, it's for more upside. So I think, you know, getting your feet wet with a little bit of reselling or selling the things around your house or just making that first dollar is so important and will set you up for Amazon so much better. And that's why I think this is like a great stepping stone for people who want to get started on Amazon, but maybe you're building up that initial capital or whatever. But, you know, doing this in the meantime is something that everyone can do to make at least a little bit of cash. You know, you're most likely not gonna get rich and retire off of this business model, but you can absolutely make some cash doing this for pretty much everyone. So backing up to what you said, like about where to source, because this is obviously different than the model that I typically talk about, which is reaching out to manufacturers. So like where are you, and where do you see other resellers actually sourcing stuff that they can flip for profit?
So right now, I'm actually big on Facebook Marketplace. No one has talked about it, but I find some great deals on Facebook Marketplace, and it's all local, or you can even go as far as you want, like 50 miles or whatever. Goodwill, any local random thrift shops or boutiques, or garage sales are really big. I haven't gone to them because I don't wake up early enough, but yeah, those are really good places to start and find things, or, you know, just start at home too. Like maybe you have some like bowl that you haven't used in the past like 6 years that's like worth something, like you can post that on Facebook Marketplace. Like it's not just about eBay. You can post it anywhere.
Yeah, it can be any of those. I'll add a couple that worked for me a lot when I was focused on reselling, and this is interesting because it's almost flipping the whole model upside down. And so this doesn't exactly apply to eBay, but to reselling is what I would do a lot of with the vintage watches was I was actually buying those on eBay and then selling them on forums and sites like, or even Reddit, or just places where people were enthusiasts and were really focused on them. So I would find people on eBay selling, you know, watches from the 1970s with like an upside down picture in a drawer, and you were taking a bit of a gamble on it, but I'd be like, oh, I know what I'm looking at here, and I can buy that and sell it to the enthusiasts so it's literally flipping the whole model on its head. So it's really just a matter of finding like, where can you find people that are desperate to sell things, people that don't really know what they're selling, people that don't really care, you know, people that are well off, just want convenience. You know, people will absolutely sell stuff undervalued all the time just out of convenience. So, but that's what eBay is about. It's about putting in that raw hustle, putting in that work that other people don't want to do, and that's where the opportunities are. So how about the actual process of like selling on eBay? Like what have you learned about kind of making listings or any shipping tips? Like, what is kind of the process if you've sourced something to actually make those sales and not just be stuck with a bunch of random old inventory in your closet? Like, how do you make those sales? How do you make compelling listings and shipping?
Oh, so like one thing that I do focus on is like the title. The titles have to be really good. I learned about like sales here because like that does matter. If there's a typo, you're probably not going to buy from that person. Photos, if they're like really blurry or out of focus pictures, like you're not going to buy from that person. So you just start like kind of implementing these things to better your listing, you know, and that could be anywhere. Measurements, you know, like if you're selling pants, you have to measure them because, you know, for women at least, the sizes can vary very different. A 2 can be from one brand could be very different from a 2 from another brand. So you have to like measure things. So yeah, that's what I basically.
Those skills also really roll into Amazon because you're going to be doing a lot more of that. Obviously with eBay, I would say it matters a little bit less, especially because you're just selling items here and there. Whereas on Amazon, you're really trying to refine that one listing or, you know, handful of listings and optimize the title, the photos. But a lot of these core things are ways, again, to get your feet wet and to understand e-commerce and to get your foot in the door.
With shipping, I know that like certain platforms like Poshmark, they really encourage you to buy the glittery type of packaging, bags, boxes, and leaving a really nice note. I do like to do that sometimes. I do that on Poshmark, but on eBay, it's not, you don't have to do that. But I know that a lot of sellers do well because then they send a little thank you note and they like hand sign it, or I guess hand sign it themselves or whatever.
Handwritten.
They handwrite it themselves. And the person leaves feedback. And, you know, feedback matters a lot in eBay, and I'm sure feedback matters a lot on Amazon, you know, so
reviews,
feedback.
Yeah, so overall, this is how I got started in online business, and it's all about rolling one little success into the next thing, and even Amazon isn't the end-all be-all. So, you know, I think it's a great way to start. It's the perfect way to, again, roll it into Amazon in particular, just because there are an overlap of skills and familiarity with selling things online. So I think it's something that anybody should be doing. Even if you're already starting on Amazon, you know, this can be the cash flow that keeps you going as you kind of reinvest in the growth and the more long-term strategies of Amazon. Because that's another thing we didn't even talk about, but the time to ROI on eBay is a lot quicker too. We didn't even mention that in the other comparison, but you know, you can make money on eBay really, really quick. Whereas Amazon, you're talking about, you know, months later at best, really. So yeah, definitely check this out. Let me know in the comments any questions about eBay that you have for Jessica. Go check out her YouTube channel and Instagram at @TheRealJessicaLopez. And any other thoughts?
I say everyone needs to try out eBay. It's good side money, you know, side cash. It's really nice to have that extra cash. So I recommend it to anyone, even cats.
Yeah, so definitely do check out her YouTube channel. She's blowing up and she's much better at it than me. So, you know, it's a better channel. Just go over there. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching and see you soon.